So tier list videos are an incredibly easy way to drive up video engagement because they bait people into arguing in the comments. So I'm going to be making a tier list video by ranking random foods on an incredibly arbitrary criterion, or as you can tell by the title of the video, efficiency. Now I don't mean efficiency like, oh, kale is a superfood because it has tons of nutrients, because you can easily get necessary nutrients from vitamin gummies. Breaking character here for a little bit because I'm going to be joking a lot about nutrition in this video, but vitamin gummies are not a replacement for a balanced diet. Anyways, speaking of kale, vegetables rank at the bottom of the list in D tier. Vegetables are usually high in water content, usually over 80 or 90%. So if you ask any physicist, which is basically any scientist, like a food scientist, they would say that we could round up a substance that is over 90% water to 100% water to obtain an analytical solution. Since we're analyzing vegetables here, we can say that vegetables are basically water that you have to chew. Chewing water is stupid, and that's why they're in D tier. Speaking of water, fruits take the next slot up in C tier. They contain a lot of water like vegetables, but they also contain sugar, an incredibly easy to digest nutrient that tastes good. Having easily digestible calories automatically puts them above vegetables, but unfortunately they fall short because of their water content. While modern society can be very complex, human brain evolve on simple instinct. Eat lots sugar make big happy, but eat small sugar make less happy. Fruit with its water content is basically diluted sugar, so eating fruits is a less efficient way to boost your happiness than eating pure sugar, which gets an easy A tier. It would get an S tier, but eating too much sugar in one sitting can give you diarrhea. But anyways, if we were to undilute the sugar, fruits would become a much more efficient food, which is why dried fruits, like raisins, are in A tier. You get a more pure shot of sugar from consuming a dried fruit, which is an efficient way to boost your happiness, and you can consume the water separately, which also boosts your happiness because water is the best drink in the world because hydro homie gang. Dried fruits also have the efficient of being, well, dry. Since most of the water is removed prior to transportation, it's extremely efficient to transport in terms of packing efficiency and weight. Obviously, we lose the water content of the product, but water is locally sourced or locally sourced if you live in an area where tap water looks like water. Speaking of efficient foods with low water content, nuts easily take a spot in B tier. They are even drier than dry fruits, which makes them even more efficient to transport, and they contain a lot of fats, which are more calorie dense than sugars, which simple human brain like bigly. Now you might be thinking that these sound a lot better and much more efficient than dried fruits, and you'd almost be right. But I got called gay for eating and enjoying peanuts in 3rd grade because I like nuts, so that hurts their ranking a little bit. Now there's nothing wrong with being homosexual, of course, but it's like calling a homosexual person straight when you know they're not. Anyways, this gives us a clue as to what the most efficient food is. Fats and oils are the most calorie-dense food thing, but unfortunately they don't get a top spot because it's really gross to ingest large quantities of fat by itself for some reason. But consuming fats and oils and foods like nuts and meat is okay, so if we were to engineer a food that contained the most amount of oil possible while still being food, we could create the most efficient food. Now we could directly inject oil into different food substances, but that would take a lot of work and money. So instead it's easier and more efficient to just stick the oil to the surface of the food substance, like in fried foods. Now we could cook these food substances in cold oil, which would allow them to absorb a bunch of oil, but that takes a lot of time and will slow down your rate of mass production. So it makes sense to cook them in hot oil. Since they won't be absorbing much oil, and since we want to maximize the surface area available for oil to stick onto, we should cut whatever this food substance is into incredibly thin slices, which would improve our cooking time and mass production efficiency. Finally, this food substance should contain a lot of simple carbohydrates for reasons we've already discussed, and be something fairly cheap. And so the most efficient food in S tier should be no surprise.